if you're on my email list, I've sent like 35 emails about Hapitalist in the past 6 months. I just finished like a 90,000 word book about it. So I'm going to do my best, but I only promise three things. It's going to be entertaining. There'll be chaos involved, like 50-50 good and bad chaos. I don't know which one, but there will be some amount of chaos. And then I will say words and you might like them. So let me get your 8. Great. All right. So, and also finally, if this sounds like nonsense to you, you're in good company. I promise you. So, um, Hapitalist, it's the intersection of woo and growth hacking. Basically, it's about being a hapitalist is about um, aligning and investing in your personal happiness and development, like you invest in your money. Um, then seeing happiness as like the capital that matters. One thing that I have had endless conversations with people in my last couple of years, especially since starting my podcast, The Six Figure Author Experiment, is authors who say, I have 50 books. I figured I would make more money once I had 50 books than 40 or 30 or 20, and it's all chaos. I'm like, welcome to Hapitalist. Um, so I think at some point along the journey, we realized that writing a book a month is not going to make us super stable. And joy does not follow success, which of course it doesn't, but we will press on and show why. So, how many people in this room have at least sighed to themselves, if not screamed into the heavens, "Why is this so hard?" All right, amazing. Well, not amazing. That's terrible, but common. So, when we say, "Why is this so hard?" Many people interpret it. It is interpreted as, "Why can't this be easy?" Which is a complete disconnect because we're writing books. Like, obviously, this is not going to be easy. It makes no sense. Easy is a measure of difficulty. Books are difficult by definition. But what if instead what we were saying was, why is there so much friction when I do something that I love? So easy is a measure of difficulty, but ease is a measure of friction. So all the things that I'm going to show you how to do here are about easeful growth. So what I mean by easeful is we remove unnecessary struggle, align with our natural strengths, and doing that exponentially amplifies our effort. Should have gotten water instead of coffee. That wasn't a great choice, but we press on. Okay. No, it's okay. It's great. Um, so it's the difference between ease and easy is with ease, you're still doing work. Easy is offloading work, but ease is doing the right work. But it's work that moves you forward. So the contention of Hapitalist is when you're saying this is hard, what you're really saying is, why am I stuck? And if you continue to expend effort when you're stuck in mud, it just gets you stuck deeper. So I want you to think about a Jenga tower. We've all played Jenga. You know how you're poking around the Jenga tower and some things seem like they're never moving? And then you find that one that like you touch and it slides out and hits the other person across the table in the face, and you're like, sorry. So that's what we're talking about here. Frictionless growth means you still touch the Jenga thing, but you find the one that moves really fast. So I want you to think of effort like an energon cube. Imagine like an energon cube is one unit of effort. So if you don't know Transformers, just do your best. Just think about a unit of work. Thank you. When we're saying, why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? When we're saying I'm overwhelmed. I can't do any more. In general, what is happening is you're expending 1 unit of effort and you're only getting, let's call it 0.8 return on that. So you only get 0.8 return back. That's logarithmic growth. Most growth is you expend 1 unit of effort and you get 1 unit of effort back. That's arithmetic growth. That's okay. At least you're going. But capitalist is all about exponential growth, which is you put 1 unit of effort in and you get 2 or more back. So you're expending the same effort. And when people say, I only have an hour a day, or I can't add any more, I tell them, that's great. You don't have to. You just have to take the effort and reinvest it, specifically in things that are going to give you exponential growth. Now, if you guys know author ecosystems, don't give it away to anyone else because I'm going to talk about author ecosystems in a totally different way. Because we have found 5 ways that authors and other creatives have used to repeatedly and successfully attain frictionless growth. One of them is through optimizations, and virality, writing the market. It's about 40% of authors are really good at that. The other 60%, it's probably the thing they're least good at. Thought leadership, which are like blogs, content marketing, doing a podcast, having a YouTube channel. That's 2. 1 is optimizations, 2 is thought leadership, 3 is big spectacle launches. So you're doing a 2-week launch or a Kickstarter or a virtual summit, something where you're trying to attract as many eyeballs in a short amount of time as possible. 4 is evangelism. So those are ARC teams, influencers, referrals. That's another 40% of people. The people that are good at optimizations suck at evangelism and vice versa. And then finally, you have partnerships. So these are shared world, anthologies, working with a publisher, anything where you're partnering with somebody who has similar or bigger or smaller audiences to make something new together. And this is the difference between, people ask me about the difference between like being on podcasts and partnerships. And it's, do you own it together? Do you own the product together, or are you leasing someone else's time by doing a blog post, or are you owning something? So the difference between me being on Deb's podcast or someone's podcast and Lee and I starting the 6-figure author experiment together is the difference between a thought leadership, content marketing strategy, and a partnership strategy. You are probably only truly great at one of these things. However, you are probably doing all 5 of these things. So the whole point of Capitalist is to show you how to just spend 100% of your time doing the one thing and not worry about the other 4 things because you suck at them anyway. You expend the same effort, but get exponentially more return. And when you are at the beginning or whatever part of your career, but especially at the beginning of your career, it's so important to take what little effort, what little energy you have and get the most return from it. Especially if you are going to spend most of your time writing, which is most of us, I expect, we're going to do as writers. So here's the thing. Here's the other thing. The thing you're uniquely good at is the thing you enjoy doing the most, probably. Because there are 2 parts of enjoyment. One is that you like the thing, and 2 is that you're getting a positive feedback loop from it. Doesn't matter how much you love the dog next door. If they bite you every time you see them, you're not going to enjoy it. You might suffer through it until it gets, but you probably aren't enjoying those interactions when you're getting bit. You're suffering through them. And the best way to stop doing something is to tell it that someone to do something that they're going to suffer through. So once you can find something that you like and gives you a positive feedback loop, you will enjoy it and then you will keep doing it. Does that make sense? So here is the next big kicker. I said that we think that joy follows success, but it's the other way around. Success follows joy because I'm sure you've heard this before in the woo-woo side, but I'll give you an actual reason why. Because in 2026, the way to succeed is to pick at the edges of a thing, to be like, oh, that's a strategy. That's interesting. I'm going to do this. It's not in necessarily following the thing that happened, unless you're in some levels of TikTok and you love optimization. But for the other 60% of us, it's about picking at the edges and being like, why does that work? And you only do that when you do things you enjoy. Or I guess you're getting paid for them. But like even then, the things that you are fascinated with or enjoying doing are the things that you're picking at the edges for. And that's probably how you specialize. And that's how you get raises and all of the other things, even if you have a job. So my goal and a capitalist goal is to find the thing inside of you that already exists, that brings you joy, and that gives you frictionless growth. People seem to believe that this means I'm saying you can do anything and just like chaos your way into success. And I mean, it's fun to chaos your way into success. I don't recommend it. As a person who's done it, unless you're like, wow, that's the career I want, like 15 years of everyone saying, Russell, can't you be a little bit not weird? What it is more like Anton Ego's line from Ratatouille. Not everything inside you can lead to frictionless growth, but frictionless growth can come from anywhere. This used to not be true because there used to only be a few platforms that worked for people. And those platforms all had very similar ways to grow. But that is not true. Kickstarter works very differently than Substack, and they are meant for different kinds of personalities and different kinds of people that like a different kind of success. And you only need to be truly great at one of those platforms to have an amazing six-figure career. Okay, so you have one of 5 strategies. We talked about that. Then you are at one of 5 stages. Stage 1, you are so overwhelmed that you fear doing anything. 2, you're doing things, but none of them are working. Stage 3, you found one thing that works, but you're weighed down by all that garbage stuff that doesn't. 4, you're honed in at what works, but you're capped out at how much you can grow and how much you can make. 5, you're expanding into those other areas of growth that I talked about, and you're starting to thrive. Does that make sense? Here's the thing. This is not a linear, a one-way growth thing. So many times what happens is someone gets to level 3 and they fall back to level 2 because the strategy is not working anymore. They found this strategy that works, but they didn't use it fast enough to get to success fast enough to be able to get past the event horizon, which is why doing one thing is much more helpful because it gets you to push through there faster. I'm not saying you will only ever use that strategy. I'm saying for most of us, we're at level 3 or 2. And if we're at level 3, we need to get to level 4 as quickly as possible and double down. Does that make sense? So the next thing people ask me is, okay, well, what do I do at each of these stages? So if you're at stage 1, your goal is to do anything at all. I don't care what it is. People are like, I don't know. I haven't released a book. How do I know if I'm not, how do I know if I love optimizations or blah, blah, blah? I don't care. Just do it. I don't know. No idea. If you have no idea, I don't. I can tell you to go back and look at your social media history, what platforms have resonated with you, what things you've done, what classes you liked, all of those things. But I have no idea which one of those is going to do both of the things we talked about. If you're at stage 2, Just just start throwing spaghetti at the wall until you find something that clicks. Not something that works, something that you enjoy that also works. Something that you think has legs. If you're at stage 3, then your goal is to shed the stuff that doesn't work. If you're at stage 4, you're ready to start expanding into those other paths. But you're not there until you're capping out at how much you can make, consistently running into the same income goals. And then at stage 5, your goal is to build a team that has the strengths to do the things that you suck at. Good? We understand this part? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to give you an example of how of the next concept, and I promise I've only gone 15 minutes, so I'm within my range of what I promised myself. So the next thing that authors do is try to grow and monetize at the same time, and it's almost impossible to do that. If you are looking at slide 15, you can see the growth to monetization parallel. Every time my growth goes up, my income stays flat. Every time my monetization goes up, my growth goes down. This is because in order to grow, you have to reduce friction, and the number one friction point is money. If you are not making enough money, the way to make more money is to raise your price and be less places. These strategies contradict each other, right? So at best, you're leveling out and getting nowhere. So if you're saying to yourself, I'm getting nowhere, and also I'm trying to do both things at once, that is the reasonable expectation for trying to do both things at once. So the goal of the next part of this is to align your goal with your challenge with the solution that works. Because bless your hearts, y'all are terrible at knowing what actually bucket your problems fall into. Almost everyone I talk to thinks they have an income challenge, and they actually have an audience challenge. So let's talk about these 4 buckets. These 4 buckets comprise what I call the happy compass. The first are heart challenges. These are things that come from your ideas, your projects, the things that are internal to a book or whatever unit of project you're working with. 2 are audience challenges. These come from the people that are going to consume the book. So they're outside of book. 3 are prioritization challenges. You're doing the wrong stuff we talked about earlier. And 4 are income challenges. Do I need to explain that one? We all have income challenges here, right? All right. So your biggest challenge is almost certainly going to come around one of those 4 buckets. And like we talked about with the growth and monetization parallel, if you don't align the right bucket with the right solution, you're going to get nowhere or go negative, get negative return. So if you're trying to solve audience problems with income solutions, you're going to make things a lot worse for yourself, actually. It's not even you're going to make it better, you're going to make it really worse. You're going to make it much worse. So then people ask me, what are these challenges that, well, like, what do these challenges look like? So I'm going to give you heart challenges. Are things like, I don't know if I like this book. I don't like this book. I don't know what to do next in this book. I hate the cover of this book. The reviews for this book suck. Does that make sense? These are things that are internal to you need to fix the book. Audience challenges are things like, I don't have enough people reading this book. I don't have enough people at the beginning coming into the start of my series. I don't have enough people on my email list. I need more people on my list before I can reasonably even do a monetization event. These have nothing to do with money. These are all about product market fit. The first part is product, second part is market. Now we're going to talk about fit. So, prioritization challenges. I'm trying everything and getting nowhere. I'm overwhelmed. I'm doing everything right and it's not working. That's my favorite one because no one has ever said that to me who isn't doing everything wrong. If things were working, they would be working. Um, so income challenges are not enough of my audience is converting to paid. New subscribers aren't buying fast enough. My sales page isn't converting when I go to people. People are bouncing from my page before they commit to buy. So that you understand how those are different solutions than the audience solutions. So how many of you think you had before this thing income challenges that actually have audience challenges? Anyone willing to there? All right, awesome. Anyone have actually income challenges they thought were audience challenges? That's a lot more yep. That's about the right ratio that I would expect in this room. Okay, so I'm going to get to the end, then we're going to do the breakthrough session. The capitalist approach is about pinpointing the most easeful path forward, narrowing down where you are at the growth to monetization spectrum. So are you in a growth phase? Are you in a monetization phase? How can we make sure that we plot those properly on your calendar? Identifying your true bottleneck and matching the right solutions to the right problems. These are the reasons, but I had to tell you all of that before I could show you the talk about the breakthrough sessions, because it's integral that we're all going to be talking to each other. And the goal is, if we all suck at identifying things in ourselves, we are actually great at identifying it in everyone else. So that's what we're going to try and do, but we don't know what to identify if we don't know what to identify. Okay, so to sum up, the vast majority of author business challenges come from misalignment. If you can do this right and align yourself, you're going to actually save effort and be able to reclaim parts of your day and parts of your life. So, this is my only capitalist slide for the actual membership that I run. There's 3 parts of this inside the membership. We do bi-monthly breakthrough sessions, one in the morning that people it works for people in Europe, one in the afternoon, it works for people in Australia or vice versa. I always forget which. And then there's a digital brain that's been trained on 2.3 million words that I've written, all of the methodology, all of the stuff that you can interact with. We call it RussellBot. And then there's a collection of resources. So RussellBot has footnotes that tell you where to look for stuff, and then you can reference that in the collection of resources. And between those 3 things working together, we are empowered to fix our blocks and fix other people's blocks. And that is what this whole thing is that is the number one thing I think if you talk to a capitalist that they got, or that someone who came to New Orleans, it wasn't breaking their own blocks, because we all come here, we're all in this room with blocks. It's very easy to identify our own locks. Maybe not every one of them, but at least like I have a lock that's that like I can't open. I don't really know how to open it, but like I know it's there. What no one ever realizes until they do this bit is that you also have dozens of keys that you have unlocked in yourself over your life that you have discarded, that you think you don't need anymore. But those keys can unlock so many things for other people. And once you see it, once you see something inside of you that you can give freely, that can influence someone's life positively, your life will never be the same, because you suddenly realize you have agency here. You have the ability to change other people, which means you have the ability to change the world for the better or the worse. Please don't do that last part. And that helps you get clarity in yourself, because often when we're overwhelmed, we are like, I have no power. Where is my power? Like why are things happening to me? And what this allows you to do is be like, what if I just called my friend and tried to help them through a problem? And suddenly your block seems so much lighter. Not because your block got any better, but because you did You engaged in what I call distributed responsibility. So you think that because I am here and you are there, I have the responsibility for breaking blocks. That is how we have been taught. That is how social media has taught us. But really, that responsibility is distributed to everyone here. And why it doesn't matter whether someone is a USA Today best-selling author or has never written a book in Hapitalist is because there are experiences in your life that you have already unlocked in whatever experience, whether you're an accountant or a lawyer or a housewife or whatever the thing is that you do, a writer, whether you've written 90 books or one, there are things that have happened in your life. There are keys that you hold that can unlock things. And all we do is think about the locks that exist in our author business. But most locks are going to be picked by things you didn't learn as an author necessarily in your own business and in other people's business. Okay, I'm getting off that part. So, why I told you about at the end, only one more slide left after this. So, while you're doing this work, if you're at stages 1 to 3 right now, you are going to probably find your key with somebody who is in your success path. So if you are in a stage 3 and you love optimizations, you're looking for somebody else probably who also is great at optimizations to get you through your block. Does that make sense? If you're at stage 4 or 5, you are probably going to find success from somebody in another ecosystem. Oh, sorry, I'm not trying to not say ecosystem because I know some people don't like it. I'm trying to trick you into realizing that you all love it. Um, so if you're at stage 4 or 5, it's probably going to come from someone in another success path than you. If you have dropped down from like a 4 to a 3, then you need to get over yourself, realize you are a 3, and the way back to a 4 is to do the thing you did already, but find a different path to success. Does that make sense? All right. So you are one human who has lived one lived experience, consuming one person's media with one person's brain. What we're trying to do in Hapitalist is make a group brain that is facilitated by me to make sure that no one is being a dick or giving bad advice or anything or like putting people down wrong paths, but is also facilitated by all of you. So the more people who join Hapitalist who are in on the mission, the better the brain trust gets. Okay, so now I'm ready to break you up, and I realize I need to do math here. So give me 1 second. If you guys do not have open theauthorstack.com/WTF, then do that now because the last slide is like how the breakthrough session works and what we're going to do. And I know for some of you, if you don't see it, no matter how many words I say, it's just going to fall in one ear and out the other. That's okay. My wife too. Huh? Theauthorstack.com/WTF. My wife is the reason why I did this slide because she's like, if you don't put it in a slide, I'm going to freak out. So I was like, okay, well, I don't want you to freak out. So like, I'll make a slide. So, okay. So here are the rules. I'm going to have you count off. And if I did this math right, this is easily divisible by 3. Each of you is going to have 10 minutes to talk about your block. Here's the thing. If we run long, then you can just go outside and finish up. Please make sure to give everyone their time. That's rule 1 is everyone has 10 minutes. I'm giving it to you. You have it. You can seed it. but it is your time. So I am saying this for one of two reasons. One, there's a bunch of you in this room who won't take time, even if you want it, unless I explicitly give it to you. Two, there are people that won't shut up even if they want to, unless they're told to. So my wife's the former, I'm the latter. So this is about you have the time. I am the bad guy. I'm giving it to you. You just take it. You then, if you're having a great time, can seat it if you want. But I'm going to ring this bell that I put in a sock this morning, a clean sock. Thanks. So I'm going to ring this bell when it's time to change. Two, there are no bad ways to write. So unless someone says, I find people who are good writers and I stab them to death and take their books, or I find great books and plagiarize them, those are the two bad ways to write, because everyone goes, what about plagiarism? It's like, well, sure. There are no legal ways to write. So and I say this because whether you like AI or hate it, whether you have big feelings about being an optimizing human or an evangelist human, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is we are all humans in this room. We all have blocks. The goal of the other two people that aren't talking is to help that person break their block. If you don't have anything nice to say or constructive to say, just shut up. It's possible. You do not, despite what my career shows, you do not have to talk all the time. We talked about the locks and the keys. That's the big one. You will learn more from listening to other people's blocks than talking about your own, likely, because you're going to learn how other people's businesses work. And we're all going to realize that, wow, there's 30 people in this room and all of them have 30 different ways to make a business, and that business can work in all sorts of different ways, which is a really fun thing to learn. So you're trying to get three things out of this 10 minutes. One, what is your success path? Just confirm with people. Say, I think I'm a this. I think I'm a that. Two, what stage you're at. Three, which of the buckets of the happy compass, we actually call them cardinal directions so that this metaphor isn't mixed. Which of the four cardinal directions, heart, the projects, audience, prioritization, or income, is your biggest problem? And then once you are in alignment there, which of the sessions, which of the strategies you heard or are thinking about hearing today would be the most aligned thing for you to do when you go home?